music scene investigation. This is where we get the down and dirty. Well, maybe not the dirty, but at least the down with some of our guest panelists. This is an MSI Extra. I've got Ian Husbands with me. Ian, say hello.
Hello.
All right, so what's going on with you? Who do we got joining us today?
Well, today we're very lucky to have Mr. Ian Blackwood joining us. Ian's been a new guest to the show recently, and we thought we'd take some time out with him today and have a chat about him.
All right, sounds like a lot of fun to me. Here he is, everyone, Mr. Ian Blackwood, joining us all the way from Canada. Ian, welcome to the Extra. How are you?
Good to hear you guys again. Good to see you digitally.
Yeah, you know, Canada is quite a ways away especially from London.
Yeah, it's a good 8-hour flight, and I think the temperatures are kind of similar though. Ian, you're saying it's getting cold over there. It's getting pretty cold up here too.
Yeah, winter's definitely set in. I left for work the other morning and it was dark.
Yeah,
and obviously you guys are under the sovereignty of the Queen.
Oh yes, we are.
Unlike the Americans, you didn't stab us in the back and have a war with us and tell us where
Hey,
to go.
now, wait a minute.
Oh, this is MSI the political edition, starring you.
No, yeah, we throw a bit of politics in there sometimes.
Yeah, there we go. Well, good to be back, guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for having me for the extras. This is great. I hope it's great. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll be boring.
No. I think you'll enjoy this because, you know, as we said during the pre-show or the pre-discussion before we started recording, you know, this is where we get to find out more about you, hopefully. Now, of course, you can refuse to talk about anything at all, and then we'll just have to go to your government's intelligence service and dig it all up anyway. But, you know, that's fine. We don't mind doing that because, you know, here in the States, we do have the NSA, and they're very happy to do that for us. So
yeah, are they on break right now though? Aren't you closed?
No, we're not. We actually reopened. What was it? Yesterday, or I think it was yesterday. So we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the NSA, the only government agency that's always listening?
Yeah.
They listen more than anybody else, I think.
It's really scary, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, it really is when you think about it. So, all right, Ian, let's talk about you. First topic that I want to discuss is I want to talk about your studio, Lime Green Studio, and I want to find out, first of all, why'd you start it, when did you start that?
So, I mean, back even when I was just a young lad, back when my like mid-teens, 16 to 18, I was always fancied, recording, and I just loved the not just writing music and creating music. I loved recording it, and I remember when I got my first 4-track, and it was one of those. It took a cassette, and it was analog, and you couldn't do much with it. It was, the tape went one way. So if you flip the tape, if you played it in a regular tape deck, it wouldn't work. You actually had to learn how to pre-mix it and mix it back down into another cassette deck. That all started in my teens, and I used to record even my own bands on the side. I mean, I've been touring since I was 18, so I mean, I've been in professional studios for a long time, but just on the side, I kind of did that, to do my own demos, to sort of break the ice in the producing, I get like worlds. Lime Green didn't start until my mid-20s when my sister Sarah was prepping to do a solo record. She had just joined the Creep Show about a year prior, and she decided she wanted to do sort of a folk country solo album on a break from her band Creep Show, who was actually started by my sister. She needed a place to record, so I said, "Hey, well, I've got GarageBand on my Mac, and we can, do it in my place." And this is the time I was living downtown Toronto in a condo, and my recording studio per se was smaller than this room that I'm in right now. And I painted one of the walls green. And my sister, I wanted like a creative vibe in the room, so I painted one of the walls green. Mm-hmm. and then Stomp Records were prepping to release the album, and then they called me and said, "Hey, we just need to get those final masters from you for Sarah's album, and what's the name of your studio and all that stuff." And I was like, I just kind of looked up and was like, "Oh, Lime Green Studio." So yeah, it just worked. And then the record, her record did well. It came out on Wolverine in Europe, and because of all her tours she did and continues to do. I stuck with the name. I thought, well, I mean, it's already in the back of a good indie album, and I had recorded a couple solo artists out of Toronto, kind of no names, but and I did my oldest sister when she started. She kind of came out of the ashes as Hellcat and the Prowl, and they did some demos, and they needed a space, and I ended up helping them with those. So it just stuck after that. And then now, I mean, fast forward 5, 6, 7, almost 8 years later, it's just it's now become like a proper, I can multi-track downstairs, and I do a lot of writing and co-writing, and yeah, it's become that place I've always wanted, rather than just out of my parents' basement with a couple bed sheets hanging up,
Yeah, no, completely understand. Now, your involvement in music began early, I guess. Was it strictly as an engineer producer, or did you start out as a musician? How did you get started in this whole crazy business?
This whole crapshoot, you mean? I started as a musician. I played guitar from when I was 11. I started on acoustic because I wasn't allowed to play anything else. And then I got my first electric guitar for I was 12 or 13, one of the Christmases, I can't remember. I got an electric guitar, and it was the dream come true. And I immediately learned the entire Nevermind album by Nirvana, because it was, my favorite. Sure. And then as I got into my mid-teens, because I started taking guitar lessons around 15 or 16, I got really into the blues for a while. I got into playing Jimi Hendrix, and got into playing like Led Zeppelin, like Robert Plant, and a lot of those guys that are influenced by the blues. And I always loved the blues, and I've actually loved, like, a lot of people think it's very hard. It's actually pretty simple, and the simplicities of it I actually enjoy. And it can transcend into different music genres. You can use it in all types of different music. So, yeah, I was a musician, and I played in different bands. I played guitar. I played drums in a like international touring band called Jersey, and right from Burlington, which is officially my hometown, just outside of Toronto, Canada. And yeah, it was gosh, I have tour stories I can end this broadcast 3 hours from now, I'd still be telling stories.
Well, we may have to have you back to get you to do some of those stories, because we do like dirt on other bandmates. So that's one of the things we try and get a hold of as much as possible.
I'll tell you what we have to get down on the record here tonight. Is we were talking after the show last time, and you told us a great story about Gene Simmons. Come on, yeah. We want to hear that story.
Yeah, I was playing. This was back in 2009, and at the time I was playing. It was my band. I sort of one of my first bands that I really built from the bottom up, called The Artist Life, and we had just signed a deal with a record label called Underground Operations, a subsidiary of Universal Records, and they were home to bands like Protest the Hero, and they released Light's first EP. So we had a good little thing going on in the indie world over here in Canada. And one of the owners of the label and the management company at the time, Mark Spick, was working really close with Gene Simmons, because Gene ended up coming up to Canada and trying to resurrect Simmons Records. So he was doing showcases for local Toronto acts, and we got put on one of the bills to play for him. So it was at a venue called the Elma Combo downtown Toronto, and this venue is known for its back in the 70s, the Rolling Stones played there, so they live and die by that. Oh, the Elma Combo, the Stones played here. Like, it's it's definitely their mantra. Great venue though. It's one of the best in the city. It still stands as one of the best. Like, it's clean. It's like as clean as it can be, and it sounds really good, which is nice, because that's kind of like a dying thing sometimes these days. I mean, we've lost a lot of great venues in the city just because of, the times, and but the system at the Combo is one of my favorites. But anyhow, we showed up for the gig, and I'd been touring. I mean, this gig was 2009, and I've been touring for 8 years. So I mean, I've already, I've paid the dues, and I know what the industry's actually like, and as far as like the hard work and the glitz and the glam and all that stuff, I've pretty much seen it all. Especially at this point now, but even back then, I'd seen a lot of great stuff. I'd worked really hard, and I've seen a lot of sort of like dead ends. But anyhow, we get this great gig for Gene. And I mean, it's cool. It's Gene Simmons, man. It's like when I was a kid, I never thought I'd be like, I used to wear Kiss t-shirts, so I never thought I'd be playing a gig for Gene Simmons. I mean, the guy's a monster. I mean, his energy is just insane. So anyway, we get up, we play. We get off stage, played a great set, really, really great set. And it was really fun too, because everyone from Universal Canada was there. And it's really nice when like the suit and ties turn around and really pay attention and watch your band. And it actually was really cool. And I mean, everyone at Universal were really nice to us. And but we got off stage, and all of a sudden you see this big, massive, like glowing light coming in, and it's like it's like film light. So there's something else coming, and then this figure walks into the room, and he's an man. Like he's just this massive, like he's like 7 foot tall. He feels like he's 9 feet tall. It's like Thanos from like Marvel, like walking into like a room, and then he just looks at us, and it was great. He just said he looked at us and said, "Well, boys, you've got the look, you've got the songs. Are you ready to ditch all your girlfriends and live life on the road?" And it was funny because like my fiance at the time, girlfriend and then fiance, was one of the reasons why I was kind of keeping my head above water at this point, because you tour so much and you play so much, and luckily I had a great bar job that I could come back to. But realistically, man, my life support was her, and she was helping me out. And it's funny when Gene says that, because like had I been like 20, I might be like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like we're gonna go and live in hotels. But the funny part was like, it was like as if someone scratched a record, and I said like almost to the camera, and I actually said, Gene, that's not really what it's like. And you could tell at that moment, and like it was just like as if someone handed me a script, and I was supposed to say, oh, that sounds amazing, I can't wait. But instead, I totally like ripped it up, threw it out, and said the antithesis of that, because it was just seriously like the record scratched, lights kind of dimmed down, and then I think I heard like, "Okay, cut."
That's a wrap.
And then, but I mean, afterwards, it was great. It was just hard because I mean, I know the reality of it, and I wasn't ready to. I didn't even really know it was being filmed at the time, and I don't know. For me, it was just like, I'm just a realist, man. You know what I mean? And I know that Gene's hamming it up because that's what he does, and he's good at that. I mean, he's a salesman. He's Kiss are like the number one. I think they're one of the number one, if not the number one, merchandise sold bands in our time. So, but it's just funny. Afterwards, it was great. I mean, he took us back and bought us all drinks, and we had a good long chat about our future and stuff like that, and what we wanted to do. And I think he was definitely looking for that like band ready to just the thing about Gene is you have to be ready to listen to his every word and make his every move. And I'm not saying that would necessarily be a bad thing. I mean, he's obviously had success, but I think me personally, as my artist, I need to go in directions that I want to go. And at the time, I definitely did not want to go live in hotels. Like obviously hotels are nice to stop in when you're on tour, but I mean, I don't look at it like that. I look at it for the greater good of where it would carry me next. But obviously, some bands just want to get fucked up. And
so are you the guy then that wound up having to pay for his own drinks? Is that it? Did you pay? Did Gene pick up your tab too?
Again, like he's a great guy. He was a nice guy. We didn't. I mean, I didn't pay for a drink that whole night. And I mean, I remember at the end of the night, our bass player was on the shoulders of one of the record execs at Universal Records, like literally, like just like popping around the dance floor. Like we had a really good time. And being a punk rock band out of some of the bigger bands on that showcase and having the allure and, you know, people just actually being genuinely interested. And like, that was a cool night. And I mean, I'm glad, man. I'm glad when everything went the way it went. I'm glad that Gene and I had a quick chat, and I'm glad I said that. And I've never seen the footage. I got to find it. I gotta find it somewhere, but I think it'd be really funny to watch.
I bet YouTube phenomenon, mate.
Yeah, you're right.
YouTube. Let's talk a bit about YouTube.
Yes.
Something you and I have discussed recently is that, you know, if artists are going to be out there these days, they've got to be on YouTube. So let's talk about why you feel about that, and a bit about what you're doing on there as well.
Yeah, YouTube is definitely changed. Changed the medium. Huge. I mean, even in Canada, it's crazy too, because, you know, we have MTV and watch music, and I'm sure, you know, obviously you guys have MTV down there. And
yeah, the MTV down here hasn't played music since the early mid 1990s. So yeah. And Ian, what do you guys have over there? You have MTV as well, like MTV UK or something? Or?
Yeah, we get MTV. We get MTV2. I don't personally get any of them because they charge me extra for them, and I'm tight.
Cheap, and it's rubbish, right?
And it's rubbish.
Rubbish.
And obviously you got the internet, and you can get most of it on there for free anyway. So, you know, from that point of view, MTV2 was good. That was the hard rock alternative channel.
Right. So I think that's what's making it interesting now. Is YouTube is giving people an outlet anytime, 24/7, and you know, for mostly everything. Like, you know, be it videos. I mean, I remember I used to come home when I was 13, 14, turn on Much Music and watch it for 3 hours while doing, you know, like playing guitar or doing, you know, geometry homework or something stupid, and waiting for that Nirvana video, or, you know what I mean? And now you can watch it anytime, anywhere. You can watch it on your phone. So YouTube has definitely changed the medium. The internet has changed the medium. And I think it's obviously made it increasingly harder for music channels, but I think at the same time, they've just gone the way of broadcast, where it's like, for some weird reason, we've now become obsessed with watching ourselves and watching scripted reality. You know, everyone calls it reality. It's obviously scripted reality, but and watching the catastrophes of real life. And I think it's so pathetic and stupid. And I think art has gone down the toilet. It suffered because of that. And YouTube, on a plus side, has kind of given people an outlet to
Now I think your audio and video is frozen on us, Ian, and hopefully that'll come back. It looks like it might have.
Exactly.
All right, we're back with the MSI Xtra with Ian Blackwood. We had to change studios due to a little technical difficulties, and we have Ian back with us. Ian, welcome back with us. Glad to see you back safe and sound. Armageddon didn't happen. The sky didn't fall and all that good stuff.
Or maybe it did.
Yeah, good point. You never know. You haven't been outside.
He's in the bunker now.
Yeah, you're in the bunker. All right.
So, we were at YouTube, weren't we?
Yes.
We were sort of going to talk about the positives that YouTube can have from an artist. And, you know, you've kind of seen a bit of this firsthand recently, haven't you?
Yeah, my sister was the full on the reason why I started YouTube account. I remember when, I'll never forget, the band, as soon as Walk Off the Earth did Chase, somebody that I used to know, 5 people, 1 guitar. As soon as that blew up, I remember, I'll never forget the night it all went down, because Sarah was playing a show with her other band, and they had sold out one of the good medium-sized venues in Toronto. Anyhow, I told her that night after the video hit 3 million, and I said, "What if I told you this was the tip of the iceberg?" And she just couldn't believe it, because I mean, it took her so long to sell out a venue of 800-900 size. And I told her that this is the tip of the iceberg, and she couldn't believe it. And that was the time she was playing for the Creep Show. Anyhow, I remember on those gigs, she had to do Ottawa and Montreal and a couple other dates, so I came with her to do them. And I remember we were in a hotel just hanging out after sound check in Ottawa, and she said, you really need to start a YouTube channel. And she'd been telling me she'd been doing the videos with Walk Off for almost a year since that one. So I guess it was like 6-7 months with doing guest spots with them. And she'd kind of told to me before, she's like, hey, you should start a YouTube sometime. And I always just kind of looked at it as like, nah, like I wouldn't know like what to do. And I mean, I have a catalog of music. I don't know what to do with it. So and just being like constant, being of the sort of the punk rock from that cloth, I didn't think that maybe, I don't know if that's me. I was very like, I don't know. It definitely took definitely took a bit of a slap in the face from my sister to be like, hey, like stop being an idiot, and you're talented. Show everyone what you got outside of where you've toured. There's some people in the Netherlands or in Australia that you've never been, or Japan, places that that people would love to hear your music and they've never heard it or and seen it. So after that Creep Show run, and then when she officially left the band, and I was teching for Walk Off at the time. On our off time, I'd come home and I'd start shooting videos. But I always had this vision for my new music that I'd be playing all the instruments, and so I started doing videos where I'm playing as many instruments as I can live too, not to a track, and try to pull it off in 1-2 takes and see if I could tweak it and record it all into the studio and then tweak it after. And I ended up releasing a couple of videos, and they actually ended up doing pretty well. And I think I stopped doing it for a bit, that style, and I've just realized I need to start doing it again because people really enjoyed it. And now that I'm 2 years better at it than I was then, I need to kind of revisit it and release some new music like that. So I'm starting to do live gigs like that as well. But YouTube has given me such a wicked opportunity to reach people, like I said, that I didn't even know I could. And I get emails. I've gotten emails now. I got Facebook direct messages and emails saying, thank you so much for your music, and here's my cover version of it, and people cover my music. And gosh, I mean, that's like just the greatest compliment anyone can ever give you as far as being an artist, is them taking your song and doing their rendition. And the flattery is just beyond belief. I can't explain when I get something from somebody. It's like, it just fills me up. So in hindsight, my sister was right, as she usually is. She's a woman, so she was right, and I'm glad I started that channel. I have been a little bit quiet on it lately. I've done a cover here and there, but there's a lot of great stuff that's coming up. A couple of videos actually with Mr. Ian Husbands over there. He's been kind enough to lend me a hand in his amazing trim talents. So there's going to be some stuff going up soon. So, yep.
And, I've got to say that, really you are sitting here today with us because of YouTube. It was through YouTube
Right.
that I managed to find you, and obviously assess that you were more than capable of coming on and being a guest on the show. So, it has got a lot to be thankful for. Rich doesn't think so at the moment. We'll have that conversation later. Rich has got a bit of a problem with YouTube.
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do.
I'd love to hear it.
Now, is YouTube something that you would recommend? Oh man, I don't know why I keep pressing that button. Is YouTube something you would? I have problems with buttons. It's a known fact. We'll get over it, but just realize it's going to happen. Now, is YouTube something that you would recommend for all new artists starting out? I mean, from the get-go, go get a YouTube account just like you would get a Facebook account or a Twitter account or something like that?
No, that's not the first thing ever I would recommend. I think they're good to have as now another piece of your social networking, like your Twitter and your Facebook. Is it your first thing? No, I mean, it's become so calm though that, gosh, I don't know, man.
I think that, the first thing from any point of view is really, from my point of view, is good music. Before you get a YouTube channel or a Twitter channel or a Facebook page, you need good music.
Absolutely. Like, make sure what you're doing is good first. Like, I mean, it is. I mean, who we just like, you watch these idol shows and you watch these bad auditions and people laugh their asses off and they think it's hilarious. And yeah, there is sometimes something kind of funny with that, but I mean, that can only stretch so far. Whereas, yeah, I think you need to recognize that there is talent, and if there is, then highlight it and then find ways to make it original and cool. Like, if you're covering a song, cover a song, but make it your own. And then, if you're absolutely terrible, don't have a YouTube channel. Or if you're bad at being a musician, maybe you're funny, so be a comedian instead and have like a funny YouTube channel or something.
I got to tell you, I've considered starting a YouTube channel where it would be for bachelors. You teach bachelors how to live the bachelor life. And, here, bear with me one more. One lesson would be how to make a sandwich. How to fix a bowl of cereal, perhaps. Something like that, I think, would be funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, now are you talking comical or actually serious?
Oh, comedy. Look at me. How can I not be comical? Yeah, it's got to be.
Knowing Rich, it's got to be serious.
Absolutely, it's serious. As serious as a heart attack. No,
maybe if it's serious enough, that's what will make it funny. When you see some of the best comedy is when it's not trying to be funny.
That's kind of what I thought, I mean, one of the things that I've seen from comedians in the past, opening a box of cereal, which is a comedic thing within itself, because half the time, if you open a box of cereal, you got these cellophane bags inside, cereal goes everywhere. So, you have to start out easy and simple. The common utensils that are required in a bachelor's kitchen are a hammer, a screwdriver, a pair of scissors, and a box cutter. That's all you really need to get anything done.
Sounds like a nightmare.
And, these things can be found at a common hardware store wherever bachelors are found. And, stuff like that I think would be great. So
you remember that Rich is a bachelor.
True.
Yeah.
And there's
I can see it now, Rich. I can see you doing that now. Like I can see like the weird like elevator background music playing, and then like you like instructing lesson 2 or whatever.
Yeah, walking into the scene in a smoking jacket and an ascot with a tumbler of scotch or something, and going right into it. I think it'd be great.
How to make a sandwich, and it would just I think that'd be funny. I'd watch that.
Why the sort of forced English accent there?
What do you mean? What did I do?
How to make a sandwich. What's that all about?
Oh, that's I just do that by habit.
Let's face it, Ian. Brits are funny. Okay.
Oh God, are you kidding me? Okay, I'll blame the man whom I blame for this is Ricky Gervais.
Yes, you're a big fan, aren't you?
Massive fan. I am Canada's #1 Ricky Gervais fan.
So, of course, Ricky, if you see this video, you can contact Ian directly via his YouTube channel and, berate him all you wish.
I actually live only about 20 minutes away from Slough.
I know. I saw it on the map. I creeped your address on the map, and I did. You're right by Slough. I was so excited. And I will have you know that I saw the original Office before I ever watched the American Office, and I watched extras, the original Office and extras before I saw any of the American Office. And I didn't even get into the American Office for a few years until it was aired, like their 3rd or 4th season, because I was just such a Ricky Gervais fan. Now, I mean, obviously, the American Office is funny, and it's obviously Stephen Merchant and Ricky have a lot to do with it, because it was there to begin with. So I think it's great. I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh no, I hate it. Like I only like the British one. Like I think that it's equally as great in its own right. But well, maybe not equally, but I do. Yeah, Ricky. I blame him for all my if I get a couple drinks in me, I just stop talking like a Brit. Just do it. I'll just do it for a few hours. It's all yeah.
Oh.
So
All right.
I see you offered to act for him one day on Twitter.
oh yeah, yeah, man. I tweeted at him and he tweeted back at me, and that was the greatest day of my life, other than my wedding day.
Fantastic.
Well,
Well,
I thanked him for his new
jam
show.
night.
His sorry.
We actually do our jam night, and it's for the past 7 or 8 years. It's been centered around Slough as well. So I've actually tweeted him a few times saying, David Brent, if he's the greatest musician, come down and play at our jam night.
Did you, yeah, he should. Did you hear about his concert? He sold 100,000 tickets in like 19 hours or something like that. 19 minutes. Yeah. I think he's great. What do you think, Ian? Like, I think he's stellar. I think, he's.
I don't do a lot of TV, so I never really watch The Office. My wife is a big fan, and I liked his early stand-up stuff like Animals. I thought that was really, really good. But
So
as time's gone on, I find Ricky Gervais is Ricky Gervais, and whatever role he's in, he's Ricky Gervais.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of become a little bit unfunny for me. But his early stuff, his early stand-up Animals particularly stands out as a great piece of work.
Animals is amazing. If you watch Derek, his newest, it's not Ricky. He's doing something else, and I was blown away. But
I have.
This isn't the Ricky Gervais show. It's the Ian Blackwood show.
That's right. It is. It is. Now let me ask you. I want to ask a question with regards to indie music. Sorry for interrupting you, Ian. But indie musicians, guys just starting out, what is your best piece of advice to those guys who are striving and struggling through the throes of just beginning?
Oh, okay. Here's a big one. Here's a big piece. Every band that's listening, I hope you're listening. Spend money on your demos. Spend money on your recording. Now, spend money properly. Listen and do research on who's engineering or who's going to produce. But don't be afraid to invest in your art. A couple records behind me cost a couple $1,000s. And very important to know that if you invest and get good sounding demos, good sounding EPs, that'll get you quicker. That'll get you further in the industry a lot quicker than it will if you had gone to your ma and pa, whatever studio where a guy doesn't really know what he's doing. I can't tell you how many bands I hear these days saying, yeah, we finished tracking, but we don't really like our mix, and we don't really know what to do next. And I'm just like, well, how much did you spend? And then they say, oh, we spent this much. And I thought, well, it's the same saying that always goes with everything. You get what you pay for. Yeah. Bands need to do their research more, and they need to research their studios and their engineers. And yeah, it's audio for me. It's like, well, song obviously is number one, but I think the way a band can come across, and if it's awful on the demo, then you've put yourself back a year.
Yeah. Now I got to tell you, that really wasn't the answer we were looking for. The answer we're looking for is, of course, send your songs to MSI to go in front of the panel. But,
absolutely.
But your answer is a good second. So.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. Really. I mean, there's been this whole shift away from record companies. And, a lot of the time, what's been forgotten by the indie artist is that, to get the quality that your peers are getting, to spend the time rehearsing to get as good as your peers are getting, you've got to invest in it. You've got to put money into it. Whereas the record companies used to do it and develop bands, and they're not doing that as much now. Indie artists seem to expect to be on the same level without going through that process of investment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear it all the time, but drums is a big thing. How many times have I heard it something that just the drums are awful? Because, I mean, you can't just put 3-4 mics on a drum kit and then hand me the Volbeat record and tell me you want it to sound like that. The Crystal Algae mixed that, man. Like, you know how much Crystal Algae is a song? Like, trust me. Trust me, it's, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you want something close to that, then do your research and find people who are really good and who are, at a nominal rate that isn't going to, put you out, but is going to it's going to make you, you're going to invest in it, and then you're going to want to push it, and you're going to want people to hear it. I've been recording out of great studios since I was a teenager because I didn't want it any other way. You know?
That makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. As a musician, obviously you have in your mind how you think a song should sound, and it's up to the musician to convey that to the recording engineer and producer and everybody else involved. I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, and again, if bands are going to be self-produced, that's totally fine. I think some of the best bands start self-produced. Like, hang on, I'll be right back. I got something to show you. It's really cool.
Okay. I guess, Ian, we should vamp about now and let everybody know.
Nice door.
Yeah, nice door. Yeah, nice door, by the way. And he is showing us. Let's look closely at this.
Back a bit.
I can see Billy Talent.
Yeah.
True Honesty.
So, okay, this band, Canadian massive band, and in Europe and in Australia, everywhere, they do play in the States. They haven't really cracked heavily in the States, but this band started as self-produced, and actually a friend of mine, Justin Coop, helped produce them too, but there was a lot to do with how the band went in the studio. But they focused on their songs, and they focused on their tones and their sounds, and they worked really hard. And they put out this 4-song demo back in 2001. And if you look up Billy Talent and you look up the song Try Honesty, you'll see that it sold millions of copies. And not this version. Later, a fella named Gavin Brown came in, and they got the big major label money. But if you listen to this demo, it's a great demo. And perfect example of how a band can invest some money, a couple $1,000s or what have you, into sounding good on record. And that's a really good blueprint. So, yeah, don't miss the ball there. Yeah, don't miss the ball. Script.
I think it's totally true. As I said, I mean, we were very lucky with Frequency when we were doing our album, but we got we still paid a couple of £1,000 for it, but we got 8 days of downtime. So it's a way of sort of getting the studios cheaper when they haven't got weeks booked. If you go in and say, I want to take a week of your downtime, can you give it to us a bit cheaper? Generally, they will, and you still get a quality studio.
Yeah. And that's such a good being in a higher end studio, right? It's nice. It just feels good, and
it's the right atmosphere, definitely. If all the gear's looking nice and working properly, and it's a good place to be. Good place to be. I've been very fortunate lately. You've sent me a load of music that not many people have heard for a band called the Bipolars.
Yes.
Ian Blackwood and the Bipolars. Let's talk about the Bipolars. From what I can gather, this is a slight move in direction for you. It's no longer the sort of punky, edgy stuff that you've done previous, but it's got more of a sort of country edge to it. Tell us what you're doing.
So I've been obsessed with slide guitar and blues rock, like I said to you guys earlier, for ever. And even in the early Artist Life album, or in Artist Life days, I was playing harmonica and slide guitar on the records and live sometimes. But it eventually just kind of faded out, and then the Artist Life kind of rolled over into more of a pop punk band. But it's something that's always been in me, and I've always loved it. I have this I don't know, like attraction to tinny sounding dobros and desert sounding kind of cowboy music, if you will. And I just wanted to find a way to incorporate my songwriting into that and how it could work. And I don't know, I just kind of started thinking about that sort of it is kind of that cowboyish. You watch like that show, The Walking Dead, a lot of the music on that show, old like Tom Waits stuff and Johnny Cash stuff. Like it just has that it has that sort of rebellious. I mean, Cash was a massive rebel. I mean, he wanted to put snare drum in his music, and they said you can't do that. So he put a card from a deck of cards in his strings, and he would flap the strings to make it chicka make it sound like a snare drum. So that kind of stuff, that's what's always intrigued me. Like, you know, on the flip side of being, you know, punk rock or whatever, it's sort of rebellious on its own and it's different. And honestly, it's just a change of pace for me from doing something kind of the same for so long that I needed kind of a new avenue. And I just found it in writing kind of riffs and adding these sort of rootsy organic instruments, and it's just starting to really work out. I'm really excited about the new sounds I'm getting, and it's kind of a new challenge rather than just plug in the Marshall, get the Les Paul Jr. out, and get that cool crunch. Like, it's like finding new ways to mic things, and on top of like writing really, you know, catchy hook songs, you know.
Makes
Well,
perfect.
I mean, from what I've heard, it's going to be a good album.
Thank you, Ian.
And speaking of, when can people hear the new album?
So it's yet to be determined officially when I'm releasing everything. But as I said before, with the album V in there, I've got a couple videos coming up on youtube.com/the Ian Blackwood. Everything is the Ian Blackwood across the board. The Twitter, the facebook.com/Ian Blackwood, all that stuff. I'm going to be posting more news constantly on there now over the coming months. I just have to kind of make a decision of when and what's a good time and when it feels right. I'm writing like crazy. Wrote 2 songs yesterday. I sent Ian a bank of songs. There's a bank more coming. It's sort of, I think I'm just looking for timing at this point. I've seen the industry inside out. So for me, I'm not rushing. I'm just kind of like seeing if there's a little moment there or a window I can jump in and or jump out of. Not really jump out of it. You know what I mean? It's timing. So if people are curious, just keep poking around for the next few months. There'll be a song for sure. As far as album goes, I would like to release sometime in 2014, if the stars align, I guess.
Now, speaking of stars aligning, is there a method to your madness in picking out a release date? Is it just something that feels right, or do you plan it because of a certain time of the year, or what?
That's a good question. I mean, for bands like lesser known bands without a lot of backup, I always say start first quarter of the year, like release Jan, Feb, March, because not a lot of things are coming out then. So you kind of got a chance to soak up some of the attention. And I'm actually kind of looking at that spot too, thinking maybe that might be a good avenue. It's hard. It's hard these days too, because again, like I said, I want to, for me, it's like, I want everyone to be able to hear it, and I want it to make a good splash. And I think it's important to put as like, I'm going to put just as much effort into writing the songs, composing them, producing them, engineering them, recording them, mixing them, mastering them. I want to put the exact same amount of time, and this has been over almost 2-year process. I'd love to put a similar amount of time into it as building a team and building, you know, a plan to release it, because that's the one thing I hate is when you put so much into something and then it just sort of dwindles, you know? I hate that. It's a bummer.
Mm. Yeah, it really is about timing and, you know, giving yourself enough time to get to where you want to be. There's no point in just rushing it off for the sake of it.
Yeah, and like building a cool team that want to, you know, even if it's, I'm not saying team in the aspect of like, you know, like you don't have to, like, obviously it'd be a fantastic thing to team up with, you know, like a good distribution company, maybe even a good label. That'd be cool too. But for me, it's more so about finding like a family vibe that everyone like is for the greater good of the album. Everyone wants to work together to make this something great, you know, like.
I think, again, this is another thing that indie bands are missing now, is that they haven't got that support team around them. They're trying to do it all themselves. They're trying to manage themselves. They're trying to promote themselves. They're trying to social network themselves. They're trying to write the music, be the musicians, play the instruments, sing the songs. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's very important to establish a team of people who aren't necessarily your band, who are just people who want to be involved, want to help, and have got skills to go down that avenue.
I think exactly, man. Like, I mean, it's funny because other than Walk Off the Earth and their label and their management, they are a very self-sustaining band in that they kick some ass in all their own in their own endeavors. But it did come a time when it was like, okay, we need some seriously solid management here, and I think that you're right in a lot of ways that some bands, they need to branch out and try, because I think if you might not realize the doors it could open, if you work with depending on the people you work with. And
I think, yeah, I mean, Walk Off the Earth have got a huge crew now, haven't they, behind them?
And
Of people who've been working with them, people who've been working with them for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think, that rapport, they're just as much part of the band in many ways than the actual band members are themselves.
Yeah, I guess thinking as far as like the technicians and the people, the film people and all the guys in the behind the scenes. Yeah, absolutely. They have been. And that's, you're right. Like, it's similar to that, whereas like you're establishing relationships that could last a lifetime and could help you move forward. And I think that's really important. And maybe some bands these days aren't thinking that much about it. A lot of bands they're obsessed with like signing really bad record deals. I hear about like bad, like you're making it bad for everyone. Stop. Like 360 deals of like you can have a little bit of everything. It's like Pearl Jam in like 92 or 95, whatever, rolling over and thinking, what the hell are you doing now? I just don't understand what.
Is there a good deal out there these days? I mean, if you talk to a lot of people, they're saying no.
I think most of them are saying no, because obviously everything's been squished. All the numbers are squished, the money's squished, and people like you just do the math. When CDs were $20, now CDs are $7. They were $20 when they only cost $1.20 to make, not even, and they were selling $25. So you look at the money there, and then the costs, and it's hard, man. You're seeing big studios, seeing some studios in Toronto shut down. It's sad, but I mean, I don't know. Like, you also have to look at the positives. Like, you can't still make great music just because there's this these disasters happening around you. But I mean, yeah, record deals. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. I never really signed a good one, so I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking of disasters, what about now? This is an easier question than it sounds. What about the controversy of some of these artists like Miley Cyrus, Rihanna, Kanye West, and some of these other yahoos out here who are really digging themselves a hole, in my opinion. What do you think about what's going on with some of these other crazy guys and gals?
I love that you said yahoos. That's great.
Midwestern thing.
I was just about to say, it's total Midwest Illinois. For me, okay, there's a couple of schools that talk about Miley. For me, we'll talk about Miley. I'll pick Miley because I actually really like Kanye's last record, so I'll just...
Not even going to go near his Jimmy Kimmel visit or his appearance on there or anything.
No, those interviews, yeah, I did a couple of those. Anyway, no, I want to talk about Miley because I kind of have two opinions on this. Miley, like, right now, I think it's kind of cool because she's just... Now, okay, again, I'll start with the first one. Now, this is hard because Miley was a teen star, so she was responsible for, and whether you want to say it or not, she was, because as soon as you're a Mickey Mouseketeer or whatever you call it, like, you are influencing young girls.
Hannah Montana, property of Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that respect, it's hard because she's now decided to just, I mean, she can do whatever she wants. She can. It's a free country.
Sure.
So good for her. But I think the thing to realize, and everyone obviously sees this, the short side is that unfortunately she had a past of where she was this female role model, and she's going to take down a lot of young girls because of it in her new or in her new sort of like freeway. But on that side, it's hard because it's like, the argument stands. It's like, yeah, that's why everyone's pissed off at her, right? Because she's like, oh well, you know, she was this role model for young teens, and now what is she like? Everyone's like, oh, she's just flaunting everything, and you know, the Robin Thicke performance, which obviously didn't do good for Robin Thicke. I mean, I don't think Robin Thicke was smart on that one though. Like, he should have been He should have been a classier dude. Like, you don't see a lot of like super classy fellas doing stuff like that. Like, he could have just like been singing and ripping it and doing his thing, because that's a cool song. But he didn't have to like, you know, get so up close and personal with a 20-year-old. But in my opinion, but I think on the flip side of all this though is like the cool thing is that Miley is kind of the only punk rock person in music right now.
Yeah,
and and you know, like last year or 2 years ago when we saw Billy Joe smash his guitar at the Art Music Festival, everyone was like, that was so controversial, and I thought it was fucking great, man. Like, I was just like, yeah, like, finally somebody doing something crazy. Like, it felt good. And like, so part of me is why I see what Miley's doing. It's just unfortunate that, like, I mean, Billy Joe's never been part of Disney. So Billy Joe has been a blue hair dyed punk rocker ever since he started. So it doesn't surprise us when he does things like that. But when Miley does it, it's because of her past, and she can't do anything about that. So, but at the same time, I mean, you can't blame her for wanting to be, you know, wanting to be and wanting to do what she wants to do. And I hope, I mean, you know, you never know these things, because sometimes these things are like 14 business plans and plots of how it's going to work. But she nailed Saturday Night Live. Her performance was incredible. I don't know if you guys saw that, but you probably didn't. But
yeah, I'm old. They don't let me stay up that late here in the States. It's mandatory that we go to bed early on the weekends.
It's playing the age card again.
Well, I gotta hand it to her. Like, she really, like, all that Sinead O'Connor letter stuff, and I mean, I can imagine how that would be. Like, being a female in entertainment industry is a nightmare. Like, I know firsthand from my sister. Like, I mean, her being pregnant and getting these letters of like anger, being, you're pregnant and on tour, what are you doing? And people don't realize that, like,
really?
Oh yeah, man. Like, I mean, there's women out there that in countries that we've never seen, that never been to, that, you know, are pretty hard up and are having babies, and then the next day going back to whatever job they're doing and like working up until the baby and then working after. And it's like, I just don't get why these women were writing my sister and, you know, turned into her the fact that she was touring and, you know, doing what she did and being a strong woman. And I mean, there was no risks or anything. It was just this Western society, especially, has become this like lazy, like, oh well, no, if you get pregnant, you're not allowed to do anything. Whereas I think that's I loved what my sister did. I loved that my sister went out there and she still worked and she still like played. And you know, my nephew is healthy. He's better than healthy. Like, he's almost like crawling, and he's like 3 months old. Like, he's a genius. Like, you know, like I just think, like, so being a woman in the entertainment industry is not easy, man. Like, you know, so I hand it to the ladies out there.
My wife done exactly the same thing with our first one. She was gigging then, and she gigged all the way through her pregnancy. I mean, obviously she wasn't touring; it wasn't as heavy as what Sarah was doing, but she didn't see why it'd stop her.
You know why? Like, I think if you're a strong woman, and again, like, that's what I'm saying about Miley, man. Like, you can look at it one side or the other. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about her Disney career. It happened, and now it's like, I don't know, like, you can look at both sides. Yeah, should she become this PC, like, comfortable, I'm a robot, or should she like do what she wants to do? You know, I mean, I guess there's different calibers of doing what you want to do. I mean, I guess you don't necessarily have to swing naked from a sledgehammer or whatever. But I mean, hey, like, again, it's like, if it's her prerogative, man. And like I said, she's kind of the only one being a punk rocker, and it's, for me, it's kind of cool because I don't know, like, I dig that shit. So.
Yeah, I'm in two minds about all that. I mean, I'm the father of a young girl now, and you know, your mind state alters when that happens.
No, Billy Ray Cyrus's didn't.
No, obviously Billy Ray Cyrus just didn't, did it really? So
no.
That's just, I mean, then we look at Billy Ray Cyrus, we look at Miley Cyrus, and why do we ask why?
Yeah, well, that could be part of it. It could be part of it. Now, of course, everybody who may be watching this, Ian, wants to know what's next besides Ian Blackwood and the Bipolars. What's coming up? What have you got on the horizon?
I'm constantly working, producing, sort of like managing, co-managing, well, managing. This band called the Anti-Queens, a three-piece girl, like chick rock band, total badass. You guys were nice enough to do a review on their EP on your website, so thanks a lot for that. They've got a lot of new music coming down the pipeline. We're sort of looking into roughing out a record, maybe getting it ready 2014 out 2015. It's really up to them, I think, right now, pending. Well, doing some, always helping co-engineer Walk Off the Earth stuff with Johnny whenever he gives me a call, sort of his second engineer, third engineer on hand, pending if he needs guys. What else have I got done? Been doing some work with Tyson Ehrlich, one of Johnny's nephews. He's and Miles Ehrlich. They have YouTube channels. They're like these younger teenage, multi-talented young kids. Yeah, mixing projects, sort of like local bands around and all that good stuff, just to keep them busy, and lots of acting, trying to find that TV show that I can do.
Can you slide across the hood of a police car? I'm just, I've been looking for someone who can do that for the longest time, but really, Tom doesn't want to do it. He's the only candidate we've had so far, so I'm branching out, I guess.
Does it have to be a police car? Because I'll try it for you. Not on one of my cars, but I'll videotape it one day and try it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you want to go ahead and try it, that would be great. But remember, it is music scene investigation. So,
Okay.
We got kind of a theme thing we're going for.
Okay.
Put a blue light on top of the car, just to appease him, please.
I bet I could do it. I could, you could do it like the old saying, do anything you set your mind to.
There you go.
I'm gonna set my mind to, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to slide on the cop car.
MSI is responsible for Ian Blackwood breaking both hands today in a video shoot for the. No, it's not going to be good. That's not good press, man.
All right. I suggest we don't want to keep you forever online with us, Ian, but we do want to thank you for sitting in with us on the extra today. Ian Husbands, do you have any last questions before we let Ian Blackwood go for the day?
No, I'm good. Ian and I are actually going to have a chat after this about a few other bits and pieces. So, yes, thanks for joining us today, and it's been informative.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I appreciate it.
We definitely appreciate it, too, and certainly look forward to having you back on the panel on MSI at some point very soon. So, again, thank you for being here with us today. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, and we got it all ironed out, so it's great.
Awesome, fellas. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing another panel sometime. That'll be great. And thanks for everyone who's listening. And anyone wants to hear more of my stories, just go to facebook.com/the Ian Blackwood. Check it out.
Absolutely. And, of course, don't forget to head over to Ian's website at limegreenstudio.ca as well. If you're one of those indie artists we were talking about earlier and looking to cut your first demo, what better place to do it than at Ian's studio, right, Ian?
You got it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being with us. Thanks again. Thanks to Ian Husbands as well. We're going to play out, and we'll see you on the next MSI Extra. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Bye.